Hi, I'm Katie with RallyUp, and today I'm going to walk you through how to run a peer-to-peer campaign. So when you first log into your account, you'll go to Campaigns in the left menu, and then select New Campaign. And then when you get to Campaign Setup, you'll select Peer-to-Peer as your campaign type. But you'll notice that you'll get a message saying that you need to select an additional campaign type, that you can't just run peer-to-peer on its own. If you want to run like a very traditional peer-to-peer campaign where participants just get credit for donations, then you'll simply select crowdfunding. But you can also enable peer-to-peer for a lot of other campaign types. For example, if you want participants to get credit for raffle entry purchases, or maybe store merch purchases, you can do that as well. All right, I'm going to skip to the peer-to-peer section of campaign setup. And the first questions you'll be asked are if you want to allow individuals and or teams to be able to sign up to fundraise. And you can enable either or both of these options, and the terminology is customizable as well. If you select other, then you can enter your own term, but you can also choose one from the dropdown. And you can do that for both participants and teams. And the next question you'll be asked is if you want to enable a participant center. And I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So a participant center is basically a section of your campaign page where prospective participants can go to learn more about your fundraiser. They can sign up to participate, view leaderboards if you have those, and view the prizes on offer if you have those. So that is enabled by default, but if you don't want a participant center, you can always turn it off. And then you'll be asked how will participants join the campaign, and you can choose between public and private registration. Public means anyone can go to your participant center and sign up to participate. Private means that only the participants that you personally add to your campaign can participate. There's no public registration option available. And then you can choose the information that you want to collect from people during the registration process. And if you need to add a custom field to ask a custom question, you can always do that. And then when you add your registration types, click on Create Participant or Team Registration. And you can add images, you can add more than one, add a title. If you want to charge a registration fee, you can, but you don't have to. And then you can enter your description that you can format however you like. If you want to collect specific kinds of information for specific types of registration options, you can do that as well. And then you'll see import teams and import participants. This is so that you can manually add participants or teams to your campaign instead of having them sign up. But I'm actually going to cover that in a different video because we have a lot to cover in this one. And then if you go to optional settings and select show optional settings, you can enable participant fundraising pages. And again, I'm going to show you what that looks like. And basically these are like miniature versions of your campaign page that participants or teams can share on social media that are specific to them. And then if someone donates or makes a purchase through their fundraising page, then that donation or purchase is automatically credited to that participant or team. And these are editable, so people can change what they like, really make it unique to them. And again, that is enabled by default, but you can always turn it off if you'd prefer. And then you'll be asked which activities or campaign types you want to apply peer-to-peer. So if you just want them to get credit for donations, then you'll only enable crowdfunding, but you can let them get credit for raffle entry purchases, store purchases, anything like that. And then you can choose whether or not you want to offer prizes. And you can, again, customize the terminology. You can limit the number of participants per team. You can require participant registration if someone creates a team. And then we also offer something called text to register. And basically this means that you can have a keyword that you can advertise on social media, in flyers, whatever you like. And then if people text that keyword to a specific number, they will receive a reply with a direct link to your participant center, which just makes it a lot easier for them to register. And then next, I'm going to go to the prizes section. And this lets you determine how fundraising prizes can be earned. So it could be who raises the most money, who achieves a particular goal, who has the highest number of unique donors, things like that. And then you can also do the same for teams. And you can enable any or all of these options. And then you can add a prize for each of the options that you've selected up here. You'll select create a prize. And again, you can upload images, a prize title. You can specify the parameters of how people win the prize. You can add a description, everything you need. And then I'm going to skip to the participant center section, which will only appear if you enable a participant center, obviously. But this lets you add a title, a short summary if you'd like. You can add images or videos, add a description. And then if you go to optional settings, select show optional settings, you can choose which leaderboards you want to show. So again, you can go by amount raised or the number of donors. You can enable both. If you enable more than one, you can select what the default is. And then people who visit your participant center can go back and forth between the different leaderboards. It's pretty cool. And then you can choose whether you want to add a participant center button to your campaign page, and you can customize the text on that button. So for example, here is the participant center button here, and it says help us raise. And then just a couple more optional fun little things I want to show you. If you go to peer-to-peer options under the options section, you can customize your display options. So you can replace participants' last names with an initial for privacy, especially if like you have students who are fundraising and you want to protect their privacy. You can hide rankings. You can hide the list of participants and teams. And then another cool thing is you can decide whether or not to allow write-in donations. So for example, if a donor comes to your campaign page and they want to make a donation, but they can't find the participant that they want to credit for the donation, you can let them write in the name of the participant. And allowing this makes sure that your campaign doesn't miss out on any donations, because sometimes it can take participants a little while to register to participate, but the people who want to support them want to donate right away. So they don't have to wait. They can just go ahead and make their donation, and then you can go back and make sure that that write-in donation is credited properly. And I'll walk you through all that. All right, so once you're done setting up your campaign, let's see how it looks. So here is a traditional peer-to-peer campaign where people can get credit for donations. And you have your list of participants. You can see that their last names are hidden with an initial. You can also see a list of teams. And then if someone wants to go to the participant center and fundraise, sign up to fundraise, they can click on the button and they'll be taken to the participant center and they can sign up from there. And then I've also got an example with some customized terminology. So instead of participants or teams, this one uses students and classes. And then this one is also a storefront campaign. So let's say I'm a donor and I want to purchase this cotton candy popcorn, which sounds delicious. I'm going to add that to my cart and check out. And then when I'm in checkout, I can choose the student or class who gets credit for my purchase. So I'm going to select choose a student, and then I can select a student from the dropdown, or let's say for whatever reason, I can't find the student that I'm looking for. I can check this box, I can't find the student, and I want to add them. And then I will simply add their name. And then when someone submits a write-in donation, you as the organizer will receive an email letting you know that a write-in donation has been submitted and that it needs to be properly credited. So when that happens, you can go to campaign management, which is this little gear icon. and select View Purchases. This might also say View Donations, just depending on your campaign settings and what kind of campaign you're running. And then I'm going to find the purchase in question. Here it is, Joel Smith. And I'm going to hover over it and select this three-dot icon in the corner, and I'm going to select Edit Purchase. And then I'm going to select Edit, and I will select the student that they were looking for. And then Save. And now that purchase is properly credited. And that is how you run a peer-to-peer campaign on RallyUp. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.